Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and honestly heartbreaking myths of all time. It's a story all about love, incredible art, and ultimately the deep fragility of the human heart. So, meet our hero, Orpheus. And listen, that line isn't just some poetic exaggeration. In his world, his talent was a literal force of nature. I mean, he could actually reshape the world around him with a song. This is the story of what happens when a gift that powerful goes up against the one thing it can't just bend to its will: death itself. So first things first, who exactly was this guy? This mortal who could command the elements with just his voice and a lyre? Let's really get into what made his gift so extraordinary. See, Orpheus didn't just play beautiful tunes. He was the living embodiment of harmony. We're talking about the capital H concept. His music could bring order to total chaos. It could soothe the wildest beasts, and it created balance in a world full of opposites. His art wasn't just entertainment, it was a fundamental world-shaping power. And it was exactly that divine harmony that caught the attention of the wood nymph, Eurydice. Hiding among the trees, she heard his music and was just completely mesmerized. He wrote a love song just for her, and before long, they were married. For a little while, their life was the most perfect melody you can imagine. But this is a Greek tragedy we're talking about. And that perfect harmony, well, it was always destined to be broken. As beautiful as their life was, it turned out to be tragically short. Just a few months after their wedding, Eurydice was walking through a meadow when she was bitten by a snake. And that was it. The venom was fast. In one single, unbelievably cruel moment, the music just stopped. Orpheus's entire world was plunged into a deafening silence. He was consumed by a grief so deep he simply refused to accept it. He decided to do something no mortal had ever even dared to think of before. He was going to march down into the underworld itself and demand to have his wife back. And so, he starts his journey down. His only weapons? His lyre and the crushing weight of his sorrow. He crosses over into the kingdom of darkness, a place where his music is about to face its ultimate test. And you know what? The sheer power of his sadness poured into his music was just undeniable. It was so moving it convinced Charon, the grim ferryman, to take a living soul across the river Styx. His song was so heartbreaking it literally stopped the eternal tortures of the damned. It even began to soften the cold, hard heart of Pluto, the ruler of this whole domain. Standing right there, before the throne of the underworld, Orpheus makes his plea. He doesn't offer gold or power. All he offers is his song, and a simple, desperate promise. When their time on earth is naturally over, they will both return to this kingdom, together, forever. Pluto and his queen Proserpina were just blown away. They were so moved, they agreed to his request, something that was totally unheard of. But this incredible, impossible gift, it came with one single, agonizing condition. The bargain was just agonizingly simple. He could have her back. She would follow him out of the darkness. But he could not, under any circumstance, turn around to look at her until they were both fully back in the sunlight. If he looked back even a second too soon, he'd lose her forever. This wasn't a test of his strength or his art, it was a test of his faith. And here it is, the climax of the story. The long, silent, treacherous journey back to the world of the living, with everything he ever wanted walking just a few steps behind him in the dark. Just try to imagine the psychological torture of that walk. It's just him, these winding, dark paths, and a deep, profound silence. He can't hear her footsteps, he can't feel her presence. All he has to go on is the word of the god of the underworld, and that crushing silence just starts to eat away at him. This is the question that starts screaming in his head, and it gets louder with every single step. Is she even really there? Was this all just some cruel trick? Have the gods made a fool of me? The doubt just becomes unbearable, and right as he sees that first sliver of sunlight up ahead, his faith finally snaps. In one single moment of desperate love and all too human doubt, he turns his head. He looks back, and he sees her. For one heartbreaking second, he sees her pale, ghostly form right before she dissolves into smoke, ripped back into the darkness forever. He reaches out for her, but there's nothing left to hold.
He did it. He won her back with his art, only to lose her all over again because of his own human weakness. And that one moment, that one fatal glance, would define not only the rest of his life, but his eternal legacy too.
His music, which was once this source of cosmic harmony, was totally transformed. Now it was just an endless expression of his own personal, infinite grief. He completely withdrew from the world, with only his lyre and the memory of Eurydice for company.
He stayed so devoted to her memory that he shunned all other women, all other love. This enraged the Bacchantes, who were followers of the god of wine. And in their fury, they actually tore him limb from limb. But in death, his soul was finally set free.
And in this really bittersweet twist, his soul goes down to the underworld one last time, not as a beggar, but as a resident. And there, at long last, he's reunited with Eurydice. And now, they walk together through the fields of the afterlife, finally inseparable. So, in the end, the myth leaves us with this huge question. Orpheus's art was powerful enough to literally bend the laws of death, but his very human faith wasn't strong enough to see the deal through to the end. It's just a timeless, tragic story, reminding us that even the most divine gifts are still in the hands of fragile human beings.